My brothers and sisters, I want to share something with you today that keeps me awake at night. You know, when you are fighting for your people, when you are standing up against those who want to see Africa on her knees, you learn very quickly who your true friends are. And today, I must tell you about something remarkable that happened. Our brothers in Uganda, yes, the Ugandan military intelligence, they came through for us when we needed them most. They gave us important information, exact details about where these traitors were hiding, where they were planning their evil against our beloved Burkina Faso. This is not just about catching criminals. My brothers and sisters, this is about Africa standing together. African intelligence services working hand in hand to protect our freedom, to protect our revolution. Let me tell you something else before we go deep into this story. On January 3rd, they tried to kill me. Not just remove me from power, but actually murder me. And you know who was behind it? The same man who sat in this very chair before me, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Sandow Damiba, the same man who was supposed to protect Burkina Faso. But thanks to our Ugandan brothers, thanks to their military intelligence sharing exact locations, detailed movements, and important information about the plan, we were able to connect all the dots. Without Uganda's cooperation and intelligence sharing, catching these people would have been much more difficult. This is what Pan-African solidarity looks like in action. Now, let me take you through what has been happening these past weeks, because this story shows you exactly what we are fighting against. Damiba was arrested and sent away from Togo, where he has been hiding like a rat since October 2022. You remember that time? That is when I removed him from power because he was not doing the job. He was not fighting for the people. He was not fighting terrorism. So I had to step in, and the people supported me because they knew we needed real change. But since that day in 2022, Damiba has been in Togo, living in what they call exile, living comfortably while our people were suffering, while our soldiers were dying fighting jihadists, while mothers were crying for their children. And all this time he was planning. This January 3rd attempt is not even the first time this man tried to come back and destroy what we are building. There have been many attempts, but this particular one, he took the lead personally. He wanted to kill me and take back power. Now, here is where the story becomes very interesting and honestly very confusing, too. For 5 days after the order to send him back was given on Friday, neither Togo nor Burkina Faso said anything publicly. 5 whole days of silence. Can you imagine? We are waiting. The people are waiting. Everyone wants to know what is happening with this traitor. But nothing. No official statement from Lomé. No official statement from Ouagadougou. According to sources close to Damiba, and you know how these people like to talk, trying to make their boss look innocent. They say that on Friday, January 16th, soldiers came to his villa in a neighborhood in Lomé called a Dog. They took him from there straight to the Court of Appeal in Togo. A judge there looked at his case, reviewed the request that we had sent from Burkina Faso to send him back, and approved it. Just like that, the judge said. Yes, send him back to face justice. After the judge made that decision, they allowed him to collect some personal belongings from the compound where he was staying. Now this compound, let me tell you about it. They call it the compound of 6 villas. 6 villas. While our people are struggling to find food, this man is living in a fortress with 6 villas. And it was not just any compound. It was heavily fortified, heavily guarded. This tells me that the Togolese government was protecting him all this time. But here is what I cannot understand. If Damiba was in this fortified compound, if he was being watched by Togo's authorities as these sources claim, if he was not free to move around as he pleased, then how exactly did he manage to plan this big murder plot against me? How did he work with all these different people in different countries? How did he work with terrorists, with Jnim, these Al-Qaeda-linked criminals who are killing our people every day? You see, this is where the story does not add up for me. Either the information about him being restricted is completely false, which I suspect it is, or there are serious holes in what we are being told, or maybe the authorities in Togo knew what he was doing and they looked the other way. I am not saying this is what happened, but you have to ask these questions when things do not make sense. But regardless of all these questions, what we know for sure is this. After the judge sent him away from Togo on Friday, soldiers took him to the airport. This was on Saturday, January 17th. They put him on a flight. Now, where did that flight go? That is what we are all waiting to find out officially. This sending back is very important for several reasons. First, it shows that Togo is finally willing to work with us. For more than 2 years, Damiba was sitting there in Lomé, planning against Burkina Faso, and nothing was done about it. Now, finally, they have acted. By handing him over, they are removing a major problem in our relations. Let me talk about this January 3rd attempt in more detail, because you need to understand just how serious this was. This was not just some junior officers getting together and deciding to try their luck. No, this was well planned, well funded, and involved multiple countries. Can you believe it? Multiple countries involved in trying to kill the president of Burkina Faso, and for Uganda to have intelligence on these connections, on these movements across borders, it shows you how good our African intelligence cooperation has become. The plot involved people in Togo. That is obvious now with Damiba, but it also involved Ivory Coast. Someone went there and collected money, around $125,000, according to our information. Now, money does not grow on trees. Someone in Ivory Coast was paying for this operation. Who could it be? There is a former president of Burkina Faso living in Ivory Coast right now. Blaise Compaoré, the man who murdered Thomas Sankara, our revolutionary hero. This man has a history of killing revolutionaries. He killed Sankara in 1987. And now, could he be trying to do the same to me? I am not saying I have proof that it is him. But who else would have the reason, the resources, and the connections to pull off something like this? What we need now is for Ivory Coast to work with us. We need them to help us find whoever is there supplying the money and making these arrangements. Will they do it? That is the question. Unlike Togo, which has now shown willingness to work with us, Ivory Coast might make it very difficult for us diplomatically. Then there is Ghana, another country mentioned in this plot. There was a middleman. They called him King David. This was the guy who was supposed to communicate between Damiba and the other people involved in the plan. He was operating from Ghana. Now I must say something here. I do not consider Ghana an enemy of progress. President John Mahama has always been a friend of the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. So I believe that if we request the sending back of this King David character, Ghana will work with us. It will not even be a big issue. But Ivory Coast, that is where the blind spot is in all of this. We know the guy in Togo. We know the guy in Ghana. But who is the guy in Ghana? But who is the guy in Ivory Coast? That is what we need to find out. You know, when I look at this whole situation, I see something very important. In 2022, Burkina Faso had 2 coups, 2 in 1 year. It was so easy to pull off a military coup in our country back then. But now, it is becoming increasingly difficult for these plotters to succeed. How many times have they tried to remove me? I have honestly lost count. Some numbers say over 20 attempts. Officially, there are 7 confirmed attempts, but I know there have been more. Why is it so difficult now when before it was so easy? Let me tell you why. Because I am not just a politician sitting in an office. I am a combat soldier. I know the battlefield. I understand intelligence work. And from day one, I invested heavily in Burkina Faso's intelligence agency. We built it up. We trained our people. We created networks. And it is paying off. This is how we caught the January 3rd plot before they could carry it out. I also invested in advanced drone abilities. We have a drone base now that is very advanced. The plotters knew that without taking out that drone base first, it would be almost impossible to carry out their coup. That base is not just for stopping coups. It is for fighting these rebels, these terrorists who have been terrorizing our people for years. And we have been very successful at it. So yes, planning a coup in Burkina Faso right now is like mission impossible. I am not saying it is completely impossible, but it is very, very difficult now, and this makes me sleep a little better at night, though I am always watchful. When Burkina Faso officially confirms that we have Damiba in custody, it will be a huge relief to everyone following the situation in the Sahel. What we know right now is that he is no longer in Togo. He boarded that flight after the judge sent him away, but where he is exactly at this moment, we are waiting for official confirmation. Let me tell you why this is so important to me, to all of us fighting for Africa's freedom. If anything goes wrong in Burkina Faso, if this revolution fails, it will set Africa back decades, maybe even a century. It will take us that long to get back to where we are now, having open conversations about freedom, about reclaiming our resources, about self-determination. Before we started this revolution in the Sahel, before the alliance of Sahel states, talking about freedom in Africa was just an academic exercise. People would discuss it in universities, in conferences, but it was not real. Now it is real. It is a continental talking point. It is a movement. Even outside the AES, other African countries are trying to reassert their independence. And you know what this means? It means you can partner with any power in the world according to your national interest. You are not tied only to the United States. You are not tied only to your former colonizers. You can partner with China, with Europe, with Russia, with the United States, with anyone based on what your country needs. That is true independence. That is freedom. We would not be having these conversations if the alliance of Sahel states had not started this revolution. This is exactly why we cannot allow any coup to succeed anywhere in the AES. Whether in Burkina Faso, in Mali, or in Niger, we must protect this revolution. Look at what is happening outside the Sahel. Benin Republic, for example. I used to respect that country. Their infrastructure is solid. Cotonou is a beautiful, clean city. But now the country is sliding into a one-party authoritarian state. And we all know what that means for any African country. Look at Cameroon. Their president has been in power for more than 40 years. What has he achieved for the people of Cameroon? There is widespread unemployment, massive poverty. Cameroon should not be poor. It has resources. It has potential. But authoritarianism has made it the personal business of one man while everyone else suffers. Togo has the same problem. And now Benin is going down that path. But you cannot say the same about what is happening in the Sahel. Yes, we have decided to postpone elections. All three countries of the AES no longer have any timetable for regular elections. We all have a mandate of at least 5 years to continue the good work we are doing. Now some people say, why are you not having elections? You are not democratic. To those people I say this, go to the streets of Ouagadougou and ask the people what they think. Go to the streets of Niger and see how they support their government. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If the people of Burkina Faso, the people of Mali, the people of Niger are happy with what their leaders are doing, that is democracy. Compare that to what happens in some countries that call themselves democracies. They conduct elections where there is no real choice for the people. They shut down the internet. They deploy soldiers everywhere. They bully and harass political opponents. Is that democracy? I do not think so. This is why people like us have decided to focus on delivering results rather than organizing elections that will just be rigged anyway. If the people are happy with their leadership, if they are seeing progress in their lives, that is what matters. Right now, everything is looking good, but I remain watchful. This Damiba situation, his sending back, the judgment that was passed in Togo, it is still a developing story. When there is official confirmation from either Togo or Burkina Faso, we will have the full details of what happened. If it is confirmed that Damiba is now in our custody, believe me, it is very good news. If this man is taken off the chessboard, the coup attempts against me will reduce significantly. Ever since I removed him from power, he has been involved in almost every coup attempt against me. But even with Damiba captured, I know the fight is not over. There are still people out there who want to see this revolution fail. There are still external forces pouring money and resources into destabilizing the Sahel. There are still traitors among us who are willing to sell out their country for personal gain. This is why I must thank our brothers in Uganda again. Their military intelligence cooperation has been invaluable. They showed us that when African countries work together, when we share intelligence and support each other, we can defeat these plots against our freedom. This is the kind of Pan-Africanism we need. Not just speeches and conferences, but concrete action, real cooperation that saves lives and protects our revolution. My brothers and sisters, I want you to understand something clearly. I did not take this position for personal glory. I did not remove Damiba because I wanted power for myself. I did it because our people were suffering. Our soldiers were dying unnecessarily. Our country was being exploited by foreign interests while we remained poor. Something had to change. And change is hard. Change is dangerous. The people who benefit from the old system do not want change. They will fight it with everything they have. They will try to kill those who are bringing change. But we cannot be afraid. We must continue to fight for what is right, for what our people deserve. Every day I wake up knowing that someone somewhere might be planning to kill me. But you know what? I accepted that risk the day I decided to stand up for Burkina Faso. I would rather die fighting for my people than live as a coward watching them suffer while I do nothing. This is the spirit of Thomas Sankara. This is the spirit that Burkina Faso needs. This is the spirit that Africa needs. We must be willing to sacrifice everything for the freedom and dignity of our people. So, as we wait for official confirmation about Damiba, as we continue to investigate this murder plot, as we work with our Ugandan brothers and other allies to uncover all the people involved in the plan, I want to assure the people of Burkina Faso, we will not be intimidated. We will not be stopped. This revolution will continue. To those plotting against us, I say this: we are ready for you. Our intelligence is strong. Our military is strong. Our people are with us. You can try, but you will fail. Every attempt you make only makes us stronger, only makes us more determined. And to my African brothers and sisters across the continent, I say stay strong. Support this revolution. Support the alliance of Sahel states. What we are building here is not just for Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. It is for all of Africa. When we succeed, it opens the door for every African country to follow the same path to true independence and freedom. The road ahead is still long and difficult, but together we will make it.